Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Eros and I am the Zold Maker. Today we will talk a little more about Ostara at a more intermediate level. So, I will take for granted you've already watched the previous episodes on the basics because all the correspondences will be on that video. But let's talk a little more about these correspondences we've discussed. Another thing we do at a more intermediate level is the collection of feathers in this season. Now, I know there are geographical differences and that not all traditions like to collect feathers, but if you do, it's the perfect time to do it, since the birds have flown back to our lands and they usually shed a few feathers or they lose them on the fights of the mating season. So it's an amazing time to collect feathers if you want to do so. Even for the brothers and sisters with a more hermetical approach, because they can be used to represent the air elements, mercurial principle of the birds in communication and so on, or the Venusian principle of the feather itself. Because of course feathers are also used as a show-off from the birds in the mating season. Now try to keep on with me. As always, please do remember I'm not a native English speaker. For the intermediate student that wants to collect feathers, it's an amazing activity to do. Feathers are lightweight, free if you collect them, of course, not if you buy them. They are easy to stock, easy to transport, and the correspondences of the birds themselves are easy to start understanding and hard to master. So it's the perfect activity for an intermediate student. Talking a little more about the eggs. There are lots of ways you can use eggs in egg spells, in egg correspondences, in simple decoration. But in my personal opinion, I found the best option to maximize the usage of the eggs is to use them in kitchen magic, being very careful on how you break them, and then making egg candles with the eggshells. Of course, these are not finished. I still need to put sigils on this. You don't need to make this criminal quantity unless you want to feed your whole circle and give them all your ritual prepared candles handmade. I usually prepare them with the recycled wax from candles I no longer can use since they bent or got a little damaged on the transport. It's just a thing I do. Of course, you may want to just buy bricks of wax or beeswax and use them on the preparation, of course. Another way you can use the eggshells, of course, is the preparation of cascarilla. Cascarilla is the traditional pulva, or at least an ingredient, a reagent that is used mainly on defensive magic. Of course, you may want to use them for binding magic, but it's a little more rare. They are perfect for defensive magic. Now, a little note on the usage of vinegars. Either you call them enchanted vinegars or poscas like I do. The vinegar can be magically infused, just like an oil, just like a magical oil. So if you know how to prepare an oil, of course you also know how to prepare an enchanted vinegar. It's just a different solvent. Now, Do keep in mind that the usage of vinegars is usually to banish or to push something away, or if you use them on jar spells, is to make a situation bitter or inhospitable. This is also why the vinegars are common in cleansing, but I do understand that the internal usage of vinegars is rarely found. But if you, like me, do a little vinegar even on internal usage, please do keep in mind two things. The first one, always dilute your Posca. Otherwise it can get very, very bitter or spicy, depends on what you infused. And on the same note, careful what you infused or what you infuse on your vinegar, because natural ingredients are not the same as safe ingredients, especially for internal usage. For example, deadly nightshade is perfectly natural and of course really, really not safe. So please do be careful on what you infuse in your vinegars. Getting back to floral offerings. Of course, you may want to give your floral offerings on this season to your gods, your goddesses, to any other supreme beings you're working with or venerating. But of course, I want to talk about floral offerings to ancestors. We traditionally bring floral offerings to our ancestors directly on their resting place, if possible. If it's not possible for you, you may want to give your offerings to your ancestor on a votive altar, pardon me. But on your votive altar, you just put some of the correspondences and the photos of your ancestors. So you may want to ask one of your ancestors you are really bonded with, or more of them if you got a bond with many of them. Of course, is perfectly fine, and ask them directly to act on your behalf on bringing your offering or offerings to all of your ancestors. Of course, if we do not have the luxury to know ancestors directly, I found the best way is to bring the offerings straight to a natural place, even better a peaceful one, and clearly call to your ancestors. They will listen, believe me. Of course, another thing we may want to advise you on. While celebrating outside, you may want to light a bonfire to enjoy the festivity with your covenants or your friends, if they also are into the practice. Take note that I said bonfire, not wildfire. Please always do practice fire safety, okay? Now, a little tip for the pagan brothers and sisters. Do keep in mind that this festivity reminds us of Eostre, but also of Eostre we talked on the basic video, but also, of course, about Freya, the golden beauty. And of course, you want to also honor the spirits of the land, or Landvættir. For the brothers and sisters with a more ceremonial approach, you may want to explore the mysteries of Isis, goddess of magic, fertility, and maternity. And of course, work with the prosperous and stoic elemental spirits of the earth. If you are part of the Silver Iris, you may want to work with Persephone, daughter of Demeter and Zeus, bride of Hades, which in this season is emerging from the infernal realms to bring us fertility. And if you are really good at grounding yourself, you may want to experiment with an offering to Bacchus or Dionysus, lords of wine and blood, and explore the mysteries hidden in his fevered visions. I'm suggesting this in relation to the well-known secret of the butterfly, who only lives for a very short lifespan in all her beauty, which is of course representing youth and, in a sense, even ourselves inhabiting these mortal shells we wear. With this, of course, I'm not suggesting deresponsabilization or hedonism. And on the contrary, I'm suggesting to take meaningful action now, in the time we are given, while also enjoying life, here in this moment. Borrowing the words from Lorenzo de' Medici in his A Song for Bacchus: turn your heart to gladness, for tomorrow bears no certainty. Of course, taken a little out of context, but keep in your mind this phrase if you really are on an intermediate level. This is also an amazing meditation idea, even if you walk on the path of the Crimson Claw or on the path of the Dreamer, for your meditations, of course. Now, thank you for your kind attention. If you want to get even deeper in this rabbit hole, I'll wait for you on the advanced video, which will be available soon, or is available now, it depends on when you're watching. Otherwise, thank you very much for your kind attention, and may eternal light always shine upon you.